And so we're gonna do a real quick like spiel right now, because we're both in the same county jail, and so we're gonna discuss really quickly the Santa Clara County Jail, which has basically three parts to the jail. You know all three parts, brother, right?
Yeah.
The new jail, which has what was it, 7 floors, I believe, but
Eight
there's
floors.
only really
Eight floors.
there's 4, 5, 6, and 7 that they use, right? The eighth floor was where the mentals were during our
Yeah.
time era. Then
Yellow
they
and
had
red.
the old jail, which is like, man, it feels like a dungeon. It's one of the most isolated environments, very dirty, very filthy. The elevator rides back in the day were no joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you had Elmwood, which was a little bit newer. It was basically looks like a level 2 prison almost. You have the farm, and then you have the barracks that are pretty much like lockdowns. But they have like 180 people in there. You know, and that's a North Daniel jail. Let's just keep it real 100. The North Daniels in general run Santa Clara County Jail. You know, doesn't mean that they abuse people, doesn't mean that they overstep their power, but you're not going to come through and make waves and try to program it in a fashion that's going to be disrespectful. So, how was your experience in the Santa Clara County Jail, brother?
Well, I was only there. I was there a couple of times, and then in 1992, I was over in juvenile hall, and when I turned 18, I got tried as an adult for my first case, and they walked me over basically in chains. You know what I mean? And stuck me in. I went in through the back entrance, and I didn't know it was the county jail, but I was actually going through the old jail, the old intake, where it was underground. And you come up through there, and they took everything off. You know what I mean? And put me in the red top and tan pants, and stuck me in an observation cell on the second floor, across from the fish tanks or the fish bowl or Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about those
Oh,
things.
the glass things are around the cafeteria.
Yeah, because I was young. I just turned 18 like 2 weeks before that, and it'd be my first time in there. And I was, I was in there for multiple stabbings. Right, put me there in an observation cell, and they kept me there for 72 hours. Classification talked to me. And then once, they established what I was there for, this and that, and who you run with and do whatever, everything was there on my paperwork from juvenile hall. Then they shot me up to 4C. 4C,
Oh, wow.
4C was red top, red. It was some double red, and there was some, I believe, I don't remember if it was a program. You got 4 hours a day. You know what I mean? And,
that's when they would break it off in sections, like from one to cell. What was it? How many cells were in the?
It was kind of like ABC section, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was hey, bottom floor. You know what I mean? All the odds would come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they would just break it up. They would break it up like that. You know what I mean? As long as everything was cool. I remember the first time I went out, I was out from like 7 in the morning to 11. You got to use the phone. You got to do whatever, and I start meeting everybody and start saying who was who, man. And back then, that was 1993. There was it wasn't as structured as it is now. You know what I mean? It wasn't ran like a penitentiary. As long as your paperwork was good, you know what I'm saying? And
I experienced that era too. I went there in '96 from the county jail, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I came back shortly after on a drive-by shooting, and I tell people this: when you see like the old timers back in the day, the old OG veteranos that used to walk with their fucking shirts like this and shit, big old bro shots, you would see them in the county jail still active. Now, some of them would still have those dope fiend tactics, but they would have to answer for that shit on their own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the expectations as far as for North Daniels at that time was, look, man, there was no rules about not using dope. There was no rules about if you wanted to stay up all night or not. There was no that you had a program like this. It was fucking every man for himself. But if you were a homeboy and you were in the other, and there was other homeboys with you, the common rule was the same. If any issues had occurred with any homeboy, you had to get off, no matter what, right or wrong. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right. And I remember a couple incidents, man, where, because you got to remember, I got tried as an adult, and as soon as I turned 18, they shot me over, and all I was doing was waiting on a bus. But I remember it took about 3 weeks to about a month. I was there and waiting on a gray goose to go to the pen. And, when I was there, It was a
So
bunch of
you were
homeboys.
only in I don't mean to interrupt you, right? But you were only in the county jail for the first time for 3 weeks,
3 weeks to a month. Yeah,
and then
that's
went to prison.
yeah. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Most of my time, I spent most of my time in juvenile hall because I was 17 when I caught the case, right?
Yeah.
And they walked me over, and then yeah, it was about a month. I got sentenced. I got sentenced in March, and then I hit San Quentin May 9th.
That's crazy, brother, because I can't imagine. I know when I went from juvenile hall to county, like right around my time era,
Yeah.
it was kind of fucking scary a little bit, bro. Because
Hey,
you
it,
hear about people getting raped and stuff in there and
and
victimized and so forth, man.
yeah, all that stuff. Once I got up there to the new jail, you know what I mean. Which I never had any experience of being in a dormitory, so that was a
That stuff happens though, believe it or not, back then.
oh yeah, yeah, I did. You know what I mean, and you know, probably the most craziest thing that I seen, or I seen the first real fight. There was a couple of homeboys that had some issues with some Asians, and back then, you know what I mean. We come out for program, you take it in the cell, you know what I mean, and then people, I started seeing people posting up and whatever, and that's when I started seeing a little bit of the organization about how you get away with things and how you do things and how you take care of business, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
that was the first time just like we all gonna have to get off, and homeboy's like, nah, it's a personal issue. The homeboy over there, man, it was from the west side, and then there was a Asian that was over, I don't know what it was over, but it was over something petty, but the homeboys made him get off. And
You know what was crazy back then? And this is a true story. When someone have to report to the fourth floor, right? They would literally take off on another race just to get there.
yeah,
You remember that?
yeah, I remember that. The second time around, so that was that. And then 7 years later, like I said, I caught a string of 1 year violations, man. I caught three back to back. So when I would go to the county jail this time, you know what I mean? And then now it was Armano, right? So when I come
Mm-hmm.
in there, that was the old saying. You know, the wheelers would come through, and there'd be some homeboys that were in fucking Elmwood that would have to answer up, or something was going on. You know, this is all waiting for me to go to San. Remember, we had to go to Morrissey back then. I don't know if
Yeah.
they did that. You know what I mean? And then after that, they just started shooting us straight to Santa Rita. You remember that?
Yeah.
From our
When I was on the fourth floor, you know what? Some of my kites I wrote, one of them to somebody, I had to
49.
write. I had to write it through a letter,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
told the person, I go, you better come in and wear this 49er shirt, otherwise you're going to wear a Cleveland Brown shirt.
yeah.
And
Hey, you know what?
they got the message when I said that.
I don't know if you were the one that kicked that off, but when I started going through, you know what I mean? To be, hey, Toko, this Vato doesn't come through in a fucking Niners jersey. You know what I mean? You make sure he leaves in a Cleveland Browns.
Yep, I started that shit,
And
bro.
I just said orale, and then I had to think about it. I'm just like, fuck, okay, that's code for fucking red and brown. So, and yeah, there was a lot of, you know what I mean? It was a lot of that stuff. And then it was completely different from 93, 7, 8 years later, man, when I went back in
I
2001.
mean, you still had convicts in their OGs and stuff like that. You know what I
But
mean? And
a lot of them weren't, you know what I mean? You would think because the way they looked,
they weren't shit, bro.
they weren't bees. They were coming to you
And
for,
they were always in trouble. A lot of the old timers were always in trouble because they were still dope fiends, bro. They
yeah,
would do dope fiend moves and they would try to take advantage of the young homeboys that come through. And
yeah.
as soon as they found out, they'd have to answer for it. Next thing you know, they're on their best behavior. But there was lot of ones that were kind of solid too, though.
Yeah.
But I got high hella times when I was in the county jail the first time, bro. I mean, I did everything that came through at that time, and there was no issues.
They
I
would,
mean, even
the homeboys would ask you, hey, man, can you handle your tweak? And I'm just like, nah, I never did it before. They're like, what? I'm like, I'm good. You know, I'd smoke a couple of little pinners. Remember the little pinners, the weed?
yeah, little pinner joints.
You go out there,
Mhm.
whenever we got the yard of the handball, the volleyball court or whatever it is.
The old jail that yard was cool, bro.
Yeah.
That yard was cool. We used to go. I
Yeah.
remember we used to go out there and play with all the different. You'd have to sign up and shit, man. But
Yeah.
the snake pits was the worst because you couldn't shower every day.
No, that's the thing that sucked, man. That's
I don't know about Siberia though. Siberia, I think you had showers in Siberia still.
Siberia was the 8-man or 4-man cell.
I don't know. I think they had a couple of different ones because I was there for a minute, man. I snuck through there in 2002 prior to going to Quinton.
Okay.
The next time I came, no, the next time I came through, that was straight fourth floor.
Because when I got
Straight
there,
up.
when I had got there in '93, the big homies on the indictments from '91,
Mm-hmm.
all those guys, they were in the old jail, and
Yeah.
the homeboys could say, man, he goes, hey, early in the morning at 3 in the morning, if you listen closely, you could hear it in the new jail when they would do Machina.
You could, bro.
It was very intimidating, and it was very it was like, damn, you know, and it's like, hey, homie, that you're getting ready to go to all that when you get to quit. So
Yeah, everybody tell you, oh, that's the NF, that structure over there. You mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And see, you did not say the word NF or carnal or anything like that. You didn't even say the word structure. And they used to use words. They used to use words like this. Oh, he's clicked up.
Yeah.
Oh, he's tipped up. Oh, he's married. Yeah. There's a lot of terms that you don't hear nowadays that we used to actually use.
Or he's a big homie. I heard that a lot. He's married.
You know. He just got pulled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or you know, different terms like that, man. But you know, there was a lot less leadership though throughout the county jail, to be honest with you. Yeah. So it's hard to have any decisions unless there was a proper authority there. They kind of let the Northerners kind of do whatever they wanted to in the county back then, bro. You know what I mean? There was no discipline, there was no structure, and we kind of ruled ourselves by numbers. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I've been to Elmwood, terrible. I didn't like that either, but I've seen a lot of fights. I got in a lot of fights in the county jail, bro. Tons of fights.
Like I said,
I fought homeboys up in there, bro. I took off on homeboys. I've had one-on-one fight with homeboys in there. There was no like fucking. It's like you disrespect me, we getting off, bro.
Yeah, I heard the Elmwood removals were fierce because you guys were all in dormitories and stuff like that. Stuff on the farm. Some of those homeboys would come rolling through. You know what I mean? And
we got off with other races too, though, bro. But a lot of times, we always had the numbers. You know what I mean? And we'd always have to calculate every different, like if in the state pits, say like you're in 213 or 207, you got to look at every different, you know what I'm saying, block or actually pop, you know, and see how many homeboys are in there and what the numbers are, because you don't want to kick something off and then have that homeboy be jeopardized because of your actions. Exactly. So maybe sometimes instead of trying to jump on the dudes, we just took them one-on-one real quick. You know,
back then in the county jail, when you got off, man, you didn't get a DA referral. You know what I mean?
No, you didn't get no DA. But I got my right thread for attempted murder in there. They were trying to charge people with attempted 187, overstabbing. But I got, man, it was a free fall, bro. I learned a lot though, because I learned how to fight in controlled spaces with grown men, as opposed to fighting out there in the streets where you're gangbanging. It's a whole different element, man.
You know where to go.
You know what I mean? The first dude I took off on was some cat from Watsonville.
Yeah,
I took off on him quick, and I was one of those speedsters, but not yet have the power. And I must have hit the dude about 8-10 times before he was just hit me one time. He caught me good, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I better start doing these push-ups, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then the next fight I got into with some cat from a rival neighborhood, bro. And fucking, I'm yelling out my hood as I'm fighting this dude. You know what I mean? And I fucking dropped the dude about 4 times, bro. Yeah. And then I seen him, bro. And then afterwards, I heard he was telling people when he got to Elmwood that, he got into it with some Africanos and shit, and they jumped him. Motherfucker, that was me that put you on your fucking back 4 times. Just because everybody says that you got hands and I put hands on you, you're having a hard time accepting it. You know what I mean? I seen him.
Trust me, the stuff like that would happen to you when we get to the pen. You know what I mean? We already would know. Yeah. We already know what would happen. So if homeboys would try to come, and that was the other games that would get played, especially when I was in Santa Rita. Santa Rita sucked, bro.
No, yeah, man. Let's focus a little bit. We only have a few minutes because I want to upload this video real quick for the Q&A. I want you to give a message about, like, for anybody out there, about how the county jail is nowadays. You know what I'm saying? You know, so why not even start that life today?
Right. So 2008, the county jail was like being in the pen. You know what I mean? When my situation happened, man, in November of 2008, and I went inside there, and it was a completely different, you know, I was there for almost a year, you know what I mean, before I got sentenced and before my case was done. And that county jail was ran, you know, the 4th floor was ran like a little shoe. Everything was done. You had household policies, you know, people were coming and going. They were going, you know, up and down the Little Max, coming back, this and that. And there was a lot of communication that was going on. And it was just so many people coming and going like that, man. It was a fucked up experience for me.
Yeah, I get it.
And but I held my ground. That was probably the most stressful time out of those 10 years being in that county jail. You know what I mean? Not knowing, with my situation, not trying to get into that, make it about that, but that's what it is, you know, that fear of the unknown, right? At any time, you're getting your word and you're getting massages from certain individuals, man, and the feds could pull them, or in the middle of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the middle of the night. That's a lot of things a lot of people don't talk about, especially at that time. Dudes in the middle of the night, man, that, you know, would get at me or whatever. The next morning, chow, man, you know what I mean? They're gone. You know, and that's what happened. And then you get the, hey.
They did that to me. They took me from all the way from the 4th floor to Little Max with Chuco and Huicho back in 03, bro. And they did it with, like, I woke up to 8 guards in my fucking cell on the 4th floor, bro. You know what I'm saying? The county jail, man, like I said, look, Santa Clara County, if you're trying to be a fucking NF member and you're striving to be something and you're willing to take those sacrifices, go to Santa Clara County Jail. You will be laced up. You know what I mean? You will have to hook these 7-inch pieces up your fucking ass. You're going to have to be putting in work. You're going to be writing essays. And there's no way you're going to answer no. It's way more stricter nowadays, man.
And regardless,
that's the part you know what? The whole thing behind this message is don't make those choices so you don't have to go to jail. Right. Live your life. Get in a trade school. You know, even go to the army or military or something like that, man. You can have a whole better life than what others have experienced. I mean, there's people that I know to this day that are in their 50s and shit, and they're fully committed. And they would love to have a second chance at life. But because of the choices they made, they can't. Anyways, drop your questions and for Toko or myself, and we're gonna air a Q&A hopefully on Sunday. That's the plan, guys. Toko, you got anything to say before we end this?
The only thing is, man, those of you out there who have been to the Santa Clara County Jail, whatever county jail, and the time that you've done, never forget what that feeling was like. To be, regardless if you're active, if you're interactive, man, a day locked up, man, is 1 day locked up, man, compared to 20 or 50 is 1 day too many.
That's true.
And enjoy, if you're out, no matter how bad it is, it does not compare to your best day in there, you know.
That's
and
right.
That's somebody that lived that life and that participated in those pieces and stuff like that. There was things, man, those things that you have to do if you want to be a part of. Those are things that you have to do to participate. It shows your solidarity, it shows your commitment, it shows your carnalismo, and it shows all those things. Why not take those experiences if you're out now and flip that into something positive? All that stuff that we learned and all the things, the intricate things and the education level we have. Can you imagine if the majority of us would use that for something positive like Flocko and I are now, how much further along our people would be? You know, and regardless of how you feel about me or my situation or Flocko or whatever, it does not matter, man. We're here for one reason only, is to give you guys options and to show you, you know, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that you can have a good life if you just put one foot in front of the other, man. It's really that simple. And reach out. You know what I mean? There ain't nothing wrong. You know, I wish coulda, shoulda, woulda. But right now, that's what the message is, man, is county jail is not the business. You know, we've been there and we've done that. And those of you who have been there and done that too, you know it as well. You know, the struggle is real. You know what I mean? And it's all about the positive. It's all about the change. This is your boy, Flocko and Toko. We're moving through. We got a little bit of energy.
Late night. We're going to drop this for you guys right now.
Late night Flocko,
Put those questions in the comment section, guys, so we can do this Q&A.
Me and Flocko, you guys got good questions for us on IG and all that, man. You know,
and we made this a 20-minute video. We were planning on just doing 8 minutes, guys.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so we're working hard for you guys. You guys have a positive one. Toko, stay on here. We're going to talk real quick.
Sure.